Hi peoples, my name is Tiago Silvestre, the host of this channel where we talk about Modern and Commander and everything cool about Magic the Gathering. And today, because I saw some spoilers of Modern Horizons 2, I want to show you three new deck ideas, not final decks, just some new deck ideas that may in the future be a deck or not. And before we go, just subscribe and let's go. Hello guys, you are here in my computer screen, and today I will show you three new deck ideas that I have when I saw Modern Horizons 2 spoilers, and I will show you these new deck ideas on this site, tapped out. And if you don't know this site, go try it. It's very nice. You can create your decks. You can see here the statistics of your deck, the mana symbol, the mana producing cards by color, the cards by color, and you can see the number of type of cards. When you click on anything, you can see that they turn blue to yellow, so you can see, for example, your lands or sorceries. And here, for example, you can see all the green cards. You have here by converted mana cost, so 0 converted mana cost, I have 12 cards, for example. And we have more statistics here. And I want to show you why this card is in red. It's because it's not legal in Modern. You can check this here, that this deck is not legal in Modern, but that's because this card was not released yet. So when Modern Horizons 2 were released, this card will be legal for Modern, and this deck will be legal in Modern. Also, in this tapped out site, you can test your decks, and that's what I will show you too. But before we start, I just wanna say the strategy of this deck. And the strategy basically is to put Tresta on the battlefield as soon as possible. If you can get Tresta on turn 2, that would be the most efficient, but it's very difficult. You have to be very lucky. So turn 3 or 4 is the normal that you can play Tresta. And let's play test it. So because I don't have any opponent, I cannot test realistically, but it will be the closer that we can test it. So in this deck, the problem that I found is that you need Tresta on your hand and as many cards as possible with costing 0 or Phyrexian mana, because you need to cast 4 cards before Tresta to play Tresta for only 2 green mana. What I will do here is play my fetch, crack it, lose 1 life, go get a forest, battlefield, and shuffle my deck, and play Llanowar Elves. Next turn, I would play Overgrowth Tomb and play next turn. Crack it again. Tapped because I don't need it untapped. Okay, so on turn 4 we got the Tresta. So here you can put Tresta on the battlefield just for 2 mana at turn 4. How can we do that? So basically casting 1, 2, 3, 4 cards and then put Tresta and then attack. You can sacrifice and you will draw on the next turn, on the next upkeep. Let's try again. Lose 1 life, play Skimming Symmetry. So what I want on my top deck, I want Tresta, as I don't have it. So on next turn, I will have Tresta, put this on the battlefield. Oh, forgot to lose 1 life on turn before, but I do it now. Crack it, Forest. Then on this turn, I will not be able to play Tresta because I only have 3 spells that I may be able to cast, so it would reduce 9 mana and I still have to pay 3 and I don't have it. So we need to try to cast Tresta on the next turn. Now we can do it. We can play Mishra's Bubble. We can cast Gut Shot, dealing 2 damage to us and 1 to our opponent or a creature that they have. Then I would cast Metamorphose, giving us 1 black mana and 1 green mana, drawing a card, and we can play it like this by 3 mana. Then attack, possibly dealing 7, 5, I don't know. We don't know the number of creatures that our opponent will have. Now, moving to another deck that is a little bit annoying if it works, that is Land Destruction. Basically, this deck will abuse by having the new artifact lands because they are indestructible. So, because the spoilers are being released, this site tapped out as hasn't the it does not have all the new lands, so this Forsaken Century is supposed to be the same version of these indestructible artifact lands, and these Cinder Barons too. As you can see, this is indestructible. These Dark Steel Citadel are indestructible too. The only two that aren't indestructible are these 2 planes. So basically we are trying to destroy our opponent creatures and our opponent lands. And because our opponents will have too much things in their graveyard, we will attack with Nighthawk Scavenger. Let's test it. So, what we have here, you can just play this step, pass turn, play this. Next turn, if our opponent has any creature, you can path to exile that creature. Enter step. If our opponent has creatures, you can remove it. You can be you can be removing our opponent creatures, or at least the most threatening creatures that they have. Then when you have 6 mana, you can just destroy all lands. And because your lands are indestructible, you will not destroy any of your lands, only your opponent lands. On the next turn, you can play Ajani. It comes with 3 counters, and probably your opponent may play a land, for example, and you can +1 to tap that land, and your opponent won't be able to use it. Basically, this is a deck. You can just keep tapping your opponent lands until Ajani has 7 counters and destroy again all your opponent lands. If they play a creature, we can destroy it. If they play multiple, which I don't think that they can, because they will not have lands, or if they have lands at this time, they probably will be destroyed on the next turn. Right now it depends on the game. If your opponent has, I don't know, 2-3 lands, you can destroy all again. And when the Nighthawk Scavenger comes out, you can start attacking your opponent. Now the last deck idea that I want to show you, it's about braids. So the deck is around the ability of the braids that each player will, on their turn, will have to sacrifice an artifact, creature, or land. And in the deck we have a similar card, but only destroys non-artifact creature. The difference is that it destroys target non-artifact creature only, but you choose, not your opponent's choice. Here braids, the opponent will choose a creature or artifact or a land. So what you wanna do, you wanna keep surviving, because your creatures will die too. So the best way is creatures that will come back to the battlefield. For example, Bloodghast and Nether Traitor and this skeleton or this phoenix, for example. Lurus will help you recur that creature, so probably you will do this better there than your opponent. Here you have Bitter Blossom, for example, that is very nice, and let's play test it. So let's start by playing this land, and next turn. Right now, if your opponent, for example, let's say they have a creature, you can kill it with a bolt, for example. We don't know our opponent's deck, we are just assuming. We have to assume that your opponent plays something. You can play Bloodghast, for example. You can bolt again something, play this guy. Then you can play Braids. We don't know if your opponent has any creature or artifact. If they don't have, they will have to sacrifice a land, and you can attack with this. We don't know if our opponent will have a creature, but depending on your opponent's board, you can attack with these two. You don't want your creatures to die to blocks, because if you don't have creatures, you will have to sacrifice a land, but because you don't want to sacrifice a land, probably you'll sacrifice Braids if you don't have other creatures. So you don't want your creatures to die. Now, at your upkeep, you will have to sacrifice, so I will sacrifice the Nether. Now I can put the Phoenix, for example. Pass the turn to your opponent. Your opponent will have to sacrifice. And next turn, at the beginning of our upkeep, we sacrifice Bloodghast, and because of that, we have here on the Nether one ability that if a creature would be put in the graveyard from the battlefield, you can pay 1. If you do, return this card from graveyard to the battlefield. So if you choose Bloodghast to be in the graveyard, we can pay 1, and Nether will be again on the battlefield. So now with Lures, what you can do is put it on the battlefield, and because of his ability, you will have Bloodghast also in the battlefield. So you can see that this deck is very recursion, because what's going on with this deck or against this deck is that you and your opponent will always be putting creatures on the battlefield. If your opponent will run out of creatures and artifacts, they will start to run out of lands, and they cannot do nothing about it. So that's it. I hope you like these deck ideas. In the future, I will bring to you more videos about Modern Horizons 2. So subscribe and ring the bell, so when a video comes up, you get notified, and give a like if you did. See you on the next video. Bye.